never really known how to be, in some folks' eyes, black enough or white enough or mixed enough or an educator at a high level enough or a youth developer at a high level enough or an entrepreneur or someone who deserves a grant enough. Like I can't figure out, you just get to a point where it's like, well, what else can I do? And then there's, why do I worry so much about everybody else and how they feel about me? But
Yeah.
it's there. And I acknowledge that I I do have, I would say, a need to know that people see me and say, that dude, he's all right. He's doing that work. He's doing his part. Right. Like, and not that I don't get that, but man, for some odd reason, when the times come up that it's on the other side, it just seems to, like a boulder, right? Like the great positive stuff comes to you and it's like a nice little charm you can put in your pocket. But when somebody comes down on you, it's like a boulder that just sits on your shoulder. And it's like, why'd I let that be the thing? Why can't that be the charm that I'm like, all right, yeah, it's there. But I got all this positivity that I'm gonna surround myself in that.
Oh man. That is, thank you. First of all, thank you. I'm taking it all in and I appreciate you. Hello and welcome to the Taking Out the Mask podcast. My name is Ashanti Branch and I'm really glad you've joined us. As you can tell, I'm on location. I'm not in my office. I'm in a place getting ready to help Ever Forward grow to the next level, the Million Mask movement, to our goal. And what we're really excited about is that you get to be a part of it. Today's guest is Marcus Strother. Marcus is the president and CEO of Mentor California, a part of the National Mentor Organization. What I'm really excited about in this conversation is you're going to hear the order of the show takes on a different turn, as it usually does in conversation with people who maybe we've met before, or there's just an energy right away that gets into the conversation. Because sometimes the flow of a traditional conversation is not the way it needs to go. I'm hoping that we begin to normalize coming together as men, having these conversations with men of all ages, and we can get into the heart of our conversation without having to have a prescribed format. I'm so glad that Marcus had opportunity to make his mask with me this time. He's seen our work before, and he now gets a chance as a part of Mentor California to support Ever Forward in a new way. And I'm really excited about this next part of the work. And so I hope you enjoy this conversation. It's going to go deep. I hope you are ready to hear two men really open up, but we need it. And it shouldn't be an anomaly. It should be normal. And so today's conversation is a way for us to recognize that conversations like this can happen on a regular basis if we make space for them. If you haven't yet made a mask, you can do that at millionmask.org, millionmask.org. And if you're in the Bay Area, stay tuned because we have a live interactive art experience going to happen November 11th, 2022. 11/11/22. What a beautiful date. So look forward to seeing you there. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please, if you are not already, subscribe, share this episode with someone. And if you know anyone who we should talk to, please let us know. We'll see you soon, folks. Take care.
Yeah, I think it was like a week after we took the kids to the Oakland A's game.
Yeah.
Getting ready for my board retreat. I'm staying in Oakland, up at Oakland Airport. Our retreat was going to be in San Francisco at LinkedIn, who's a fantastic partner. And man, my car got broken into. Went to Starbucks that morning at around 5:30, maybe 6-ish, right as they were opening. And man, didn't walk 20 feet and alarm went off. And I don't know how they smashed and grabbed my bag as fast as they did, but got my bag with my computer and all, if you're an Apple user, they got all my dongles, which, it was not fun. And I think the biggest two things, right? One was just the inconvenience. Like at the end of the day, I could replace the stuff, which is the blessing, and
Yeah.
being able to
Yeah.
replace things, but the inconvenience that it caused and just this domino effect of, oh, I don't have my computer. Oh, I don't have this proposal I'm supposed to send. Let me try to get on my iCloud and find it that way and send it from my phone. And little things, Ashanti. My prescription sunglasses were in there. Why I got a new bag because they got my bag that I had for almost 10 years. Got my bag. And when I went to go buy a new bag, and I love the Swiss gear bag, so I was like hunting
Mm.
down for a Swiss gear bag. The new one I have has a sunglass case in it. And I was like, oh, this is great. I could put my prescription. No, I can't. I can't put those in there because those were in the bag as well. So it was
Oh,
just like for, I would say, close to 2 weeks, little things kept clicking that I had in my
man.
bag that I didn't realize I had in my bag. So when you ask the question, like
Mm.
right now, I'm in a really great place of like before, but I keep telling people like I'm getting back to complete,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm working towards. And my car is fixed, and there's a blessing in all of what I am able to do. My
Yeah.
wife and I were able to replace things. My board was incredibly supportive, but
Yeah.
man, that inconvenience, I tell you
Yeah.
what, it just interrupted my life. And it's caused like unnecessary stress, right? Like I got a pinched nerve in my shoulder, so I've been dealing with that. And then I got tennis elbows, I've been dealing with that. So,
Mm.
it's like all of that stuff. How you been?
Oh man. First, let's take a breath right there. I want to just thank you, brother.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You
And I
know
appreciate
no,
you.
go ahead. Well, I appreciate you, man, for sharing that. I think the reason I started to record it because I think what often happens in this work behind the scenes. I had one person show me a diagram once of like a iceberg and this organization they were trying to build, and here's something that happens on the outside, and that's the stuff with the kids and the stuff with the anything that you may post is on the outside, but all the stuff underneath the 3/4 3/5, whatever size is happening beneath the surface that no one sees is the stuff that is not glamorous, sometimes not fun, oftentimes hectic. And it is like sometimes trying to figure out how do I get to the surface? Can I just get my head above the water so I can just catch a breath here? Because I know I got to come back down here and deal with all this stuff. But I need to let me go to this game and like hang out with some youth who get to experience this game. And then once I come out of that, I'm back at this stuff. And then, let me come to this board meeting and do this thing that's outward facing. But now behind the scenes, I got to navigate all of this other. And so I just appreciate you because I think it's the part that I have the hardest time posting about when I'm trying to share this journey of Ever Forward. It's real. I'm experiencing it, I'm feeling it. I'm talking about taking off the mask, and I got good other masks to cover up those masks.
Sure.
Right. And I think that the work that we talk about in this work of young people is helping them find a space where they can be seen and heard and understood beyond what they are letting us see. Because if we're as adults don't are not careful, we would take what they let us see and say, "Oh, that's all of you," and therefore that's how I'm going to interact with you. Not maybe smart enough to recognize it, but not being in the moment recognizing that, oh, you're asking for something else. You're calling out for something. Or you're looking for some different kind of attention. Like you need something else. And so, man, so for all those out there who are doing it, and you and us who talk often about the struggle of some of the work, I think I appreciate you sharing that part. And so I'm taking it in, and I'm trying to like, I'm spinning. I'm spinning behind the scenes. I'm spinning. I think I a text about this the other day, and I guess, originally, I was just gonna like have a show today where I was just gonna solo run it, and I was just gonna just talk about what's going on. And I was like, I don't want to have no whole show where I'm just like complaining. And in my mind, anytime I talk about the real behind the scenes, under the waterline stuff, I feel like I'm complaining. I don't feel like I'm sharing the journey, because I've been told growing up, stop complaining, just deal with it. And so I got that internalized behavior that even as an adult, no one's telling me not that I can't talk about what I'm really experiencing, but I still have it ingrained in me that to dare speak about something that's not pleasant is to be complaining, as opposed to like to really just be dealing with some real stuff, you know?
And at what point is it okay for us to complain? Like there are complaints. There are things that I need to vent about. Maybe we change the narrative of the word, but when you were speaking, it made me think about how often, right? When we don't think about our language, how often do we get the question, how you feeling today? And then the response is, I can't complain. And then the third response is, wouldn't matter. Nobody would listen anyway. How harmful is that? Right? Like if we think about that, like how harmful is it for us to tell young people, adults alike, that, yeah, even if you had a complaint, nobody's going to listen to it anyway. Yeah, but what if I need you to hear me? Yeah. And I'm okay if in my complaining, you have a masterful way of bringing me back to recognizing, I hear what you're saying, your car got broken into, but you were able to replace your computer the next day. So let's find the joy in that. Ooh, great. But you listen to me. At least you listen to me. And it's so funny because I tell people all the time, you know, stop asking the question, how you doing? How are you today? Just because that feels like the natural thing to do at the beginning. But do you really care? Like at the end of the day, do you really care how I'm doing? So now anymore, if I am amazing, which is often where I feel, I will say my joy meter is closer to that. But if there are days that you ask me, like right now, my response is, man, I'm getting back to complete. I'm working on some things, you know, and for you to take the time to say, oh man, let's talk about that. I want to hear where you are with, and I think you and I do that often with each other. Like, man, just talk to me. I can remember driving in Colorado in those crazy hills, and we're taking kids, but we're a little nervous because we don't know about these hills in this van. But two, I think it was a moment of healing in that drive, which was great. So it's interesting, you know, just thinking about the narratives we push out there. Like, even if you did complain, nobody's going to listen anyway. We should stop saying that.
And I think we will. I think, well, I think we will. I want us to. And I think one of the reasons we created this movement, right, around these masks is because those young men, the young men I've met you a couple of times, but I think when I'm trying to trace back, it was a convening in Los Angeles. You had brought in like 10 young men from Sacramento area. I remember like I had just found out about it 2 days before. So it was like, I wish I could have brought young people, right? And I think that's when I started learning about your work. And I'm like, okay, I got what am I missing? Because I must be in the wrong meetings or the wrong rooms. And I was so impressed by your young men that day. And I think it was the idea that as we are constantly striving and doing the things, right? And as we try and show an environment for those young men, right? Your young men, like I feel like I have a responsibility to set an example for them. So I greeted all of them. How you doing? Good to see you. Welcome. You know, I think that the layers of how many things that we carry, oftentimes you couldn't tell, right? You couldn't tell on the outside, right? Because we've practiced. We've gotten really good at what we have to do to be at equilibrium, to be able to survive. And sometimes we may not even realize how much we're carrying until somebody really gives us a chance to maybe start asking us for real, how are we doing? And give us room to really answer and not rush us because they're not still walking down the hall, or they, you know, like, Or they started
Right.
with, "Oh, I hope you're doing okay," and I'm like, "Well, I guess I better not say that I'm not. Maybe since you hope I'm doing okay, maybe I shouldn't like mess up your hopes right
Right.
now in this moment, right?" And how is our language? How does our language get in the way of connection too?
Mm-hmm.
Unintentionally. Unintentionally. If I say to somebody,
Right.
"Hey, I hope you're feeling well," if I text somebody that, I realized when it happened to me one day when I wasn't feeling well, and somebody said, "I hope you're feeling well," and I was like, "Oh, I wish you just asked me," and I didn't feel like I had the permission to like
Mm,
debate your hope. So I said, thank you. How are you?" Right? I knew
right.
that it wasn't the space to open it up there, and I think that it's about language. Maybe not that. Maybe that person was totally been willing, but I took. Sometimes language is powerful, even in simple words.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's intentionality. Just thinking about the intention that we take in terms of, okay, this person said, I hope you're doing okay. I'm gonna let them know I'm not. Like, I'm gonna be intentional about
Mm,
that.
yeah.
But as you stated earlier, society has really told us, like, no, don't do that. Especially us as Black men, like, don't do
Mm,
that. Don't go into that space. Like, you know, and even thinking about the like, you should be incredibly grateful. Look at where you are, right? You have your own organization, right? You
mm.
get to speak with Lisa Ling today, so you should be grateful, Ashanti. You should have no issues, and we ride that, right? And we're just like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, I probably should. But then on the
Yeah.
other side of it
Yeah.
is that intentionality of,
Oof,
brother, come talk to me. How you doing today? Like, how
oof.
are you good? Like, are you really good? It's it's so powerful, and it made me like, even when you were talking, I love what you're doing with the new, what do you call it? I'm gonna mess it
Oh,
up. Your
no, diary of a confused educator.
Diary of a Confused Educator. When I see, I was like, yeah, I love that. That needs to be like a whole podcast, book, or something. And even just thinking about, you could do a whole book on questions, right? Here's
Mm,
I'm confused about this. I'm confused about this. So I
yeah.
absolutely loved it. But when you posted that piece about just young people and not liking school,
Yeah.
and it's even that intentionality of the beginning of the school day, and young people coming into the space, and
Yeah.
how are they greeted? Are they greeted with, take your hat off, pull your pants up, why you wear that to school today, get that wrap off your head? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
all of that. And really, and man, I can't tell you how many young people I've had who have said to me, Strother, they lucky I came to school today. I didn't even want to
Mm-hmm.
be here, but I'm here. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, brother. It's
Yeah.
you and I always, we always, it don't matter if we're together for 15 minutes. It's like, I feel like we see each other and we're like, yeah, we about to heal for a moment. Come on,
let's
me and you, like, box
let's
comes down
go.
around us. Yeah,
Let's
I
go.
love it.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm thankful for you, man. I'm really thankful. I'm excited about this conversation. I think we started off in the general, right? But now we're about to come into us, right? That's because part of this work, I think, is if young people, and you run, Mentor California, like mentoring is at essence the work of what we're trying to do and ever forward, and recognizing that there was a post on Instagram the other day. I think it's a famous comedian. I don't know if he's a comedian or something, but he has a big following. And he was riding down the street, and he rolled down his window, and he said, "Hey, your mama know you smoking that?" And the kid said, "What?" And he said, "Your mama know you smoking that?" And then the kid responded, "Man, my mama dead." And he was like, and he just rolled up his window and drove off. Right in that moment, I just saw mentoring at its finest and at its worst in so many ways. Right, a
Hmm.
person supporting a young person to think bigger. Hey, I think it was a perfect. Well, I say perfect. I think it was a great introduction to, hey, would you be doing that around somebody who we as an outside world believes love you, cares about you, is there to protect you and hold you accountable? And then to know that we could not even know. I mean, he didn't do that. He didn't do that out of spite. He didn't do it because he was trying to make that young man bring up pain. He was saying, I don't have any authority over you. Maybe let me go to my mind of who possibly could or would have authority over you. And then to hear that response back from that young man, And as he drove away, you hear the young man saying, "No, you good." Like he saw the man get embarrassed by saying that. He kind of took in that the man was just trying to really like look out for him. But it was just that moment of like, and I saw it, and I was trying to replay it in my mind. I'm like, yeah, how oftentimes do I say something out of the best intention, and then it hits in the wrong way, and then I need to like, oh, my bad, I'm sorry about that. I didn't know, so please forgive me. Like all the ways that, and then whenever we're not well, because I know as my early years of my teaching, I'll be like, well, and I would not be as empathetic or on my response. My ego is too ingrained into being in charge and being the person who was the smartest in the room until I realized that wasn't the case. So thank you for the work and supporting mentors and people who want to be mentors and organizations who want to get involved with mentoring. I think that we need more of those partners in the community as us as an organization so that we can do more of the work. I don't want them to leave their jobs necessarily, but I want them to maybe support the work that we're doing so we can continue to do our jobs in this way,
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because I was just having this conversation with somebody yesterday, another brother, and he was just talking about, we were in this back and forth of why can't mentoring be a job? Right. Like, I think the other thing is we created this idea of mentoring as being volunteer your time, find an hour a week, and give to a young person. So now we set it up as a situation where, well, I got to figure out, like, do I really have an hour a week? And I know it's more than an hour because I'm pretty positive that that's good. Right. So we have set it up in a way where mentoring is important, but not really. Right. Like, if you got an hour, cool. But if you don't, like, we understand, as opposed to, no, man, like, we're going to hire mentors. We're going to pay. And there's this interesting, like, I don't know. I don't know how to say it, but there's this interesting kind of black magic behind the idea of, I don't know, black magic is the wrong word. I shouldn't even say that. There's this idea of volunteerism means free. Right? Like,
yeah.
I need you, and you should want to do this to give back to your community. Like, so find the time to do that. Well, oftentimes, right, there's so many layers to that, because oftentimes the adults that maybe are going to be the best adults to probably connect with our young people in a very relevant way, they need to work. They need to make money. They need to be in those spaces. Yeah. And it's not that they don't want to. It's not that they don't want to give back the way that they want to give back. They don't have the means to be able to do those things. Right. And it's just, it's interesting thinking about, like, how do we shift that? Even thinking about schools, like, if we had mentors who were just, like, you're in the space of schools, that's your everyday job. What do you, man, I'm school-based mentor. Like, I'm here, I'm available. Right. I can support teachers who need it at times, and I can support young people when they need it. If we could shift that idea of mentoring being something that, if you got time, become a mentor.
Yeah, and I think that there was one organization I heard of who had it set up like that, and I think they were from LA. They came to the Bay Area. I forgot their name, but that was their model, and it was like, it was really beautiful the way I heard it. I was like, that is amazing. And they also had, a bunch of famous people on their board, and the founders and people were, for that, people who had access to resources that could create a budget that was like a dream budget, right? What would it look like? And you have to help. And then if you didn't, like, let's say those people who are on the board, but you think about society in the grant making world, like, it is almost seen as like, wait, you can't pay overhead. You can't use this for overhead. And then you have to be fancy with your words and say, well, this is not overhead, this program. But it's like, I got to play with words to make it fit into your narrative about where money should go. But the people are who are going to deliver. And so now I got to be fancy with words. I got to have a fancy writer who can take these words and make them sound like you need them to sound into the paradigm which you believe grants should go to, because you don't want to give money to people. but you want to serve people in this idea that we're going to give out all this money for grants. And then, so I think it becomes this game, it's this hustle, right? And I think that's
Yep.
There's a book called The Nonprofit Industrial Complex. The revolution will not be funded, right? I read the first 3 pages of that book, and I was like, I was borrowing it. I said, "Can I see that?" And I read the first 3 pages, and the person was like, "Can I get the book back?" And I'm like, "I need this book. I need this book." So I realized I got to go buy this book. But when that book has helped me a lot in a way of just like, oh, it's the system. It's not me. It's not. I got something I got to work on for me, yes, but it's not me. It's a system that's saying, "Oh, well, yes, this is the work we want to solve in the world, but we want to solve it in these parameters and with this. And then if you can't get it through that parameter, then you must not be doing it right." Because all these other organizations who've been around for 100 years are doing it right. And then what ends up happening is you end up having to compete with 100-year-old organizations who have 100 years of brand recognition. And how could I ever, compete in that way, right? And I in the beginning I was like, something I felt to fit in that way. But I recognized that my work was to stay in my lane, Ashanti. This is your lane. Just stay on track. Learn what you need to learn. But you can't try and be them, and you can't try and do it like them. You need to be doing it like you. And sometimes that was hard. Sometimes it was like, I'd rather just go get a job, right? Sometimes I'd rather just go get a job so I can do the work of serving in the community. But, I think that also feels stifling. It feels like I would be stuck in a revolving wheel of no progress, because sometimes I feel the system don't really want to make progress, right? I mean, our schools are also institutions that look like they did 100 years ago for the most part, for many schools, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Rows of students, a teacher in the front, spewing information, students taking it in, regurgitating it, giving it back in 2 weeks. And how well you give it back to me, the way I gave it to you, is the way I'm going to give you the point. And then it evaluates whether you're a good student or not student. Like that's 100 years ago. That's what it was 100 years ago. And now we used to have sometimes fancier buildings and projectors and smart boards and
right
with the same old paradigm.
Same old stuff. And I've lifted up over and over again. The pandemic offered the education system an opportunity to do something different. Right? Not to say that there were many or any pluses to the pandemic, but man, if there wasn't an opportunity to say, okay, we're going to do something different when we come out of this, and we can get back to at least having in person, right? Getting rid of the word traditional. How do we do this thing different so that young people are excited about coming to school, so that adults are excited about coming to work? Like,
That's right.
And I've talked, extensively about teacher preparation programs, right? Yeah. We keep talking about, there are all of those things. We need to pay teachers more. How do we get our lower class sizes? And thinking about those pieces. Yes, all of that matters. But there's not a lot of discussion around how are we preparing teachers, right? What does that look like from the college system? And on the other end of it, I keep lifting up that we need to let people retire after 20 years. Let teachers retire after 20 years. Full benefits. They did what they had to do. They've given back. If police officers and military folks can retire after 20 years because they are quote unquote protecting us, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, most folks aren't who they are without some teacher or mentor in their life. Let teachers retire after 20 years. And then you talk about making it a space where people want to come in. You keep talking about a teacher shortage. Well, yeah, but you're not addressing anything to be able to correct why people don't want to stay in this space. Why people don't want to,
or come to the space, like,
or come
stay,
to the space
or come to the space. Why? Yeah. Oh man.
Absolutely. And mystique.
Oh, man.
Mystique was the word I was looking for earlier. I don't know why I couldn't find it, but it's my old brain. It wasn't working.
It's working, brother. It's working. Well, let's do this. Folks, anytime we get educators on this show, like, we jump in. It goes fast. So we're gonna get to them. We're gonna make our masks. And actually, what we haven't even done? We haven't introduced you. Oh my
It's all
God.
good.
Well, we're at 20 minutes in and we haven't even. So look, Marcus, brother, I am so glad to have you. Welcome to Taking Out the Mask podcast. I'm so glad to have you on the show. This was still part of the pre-show. We hadn't even started the official show, but I was like, wait a minute, what are we doing? Wait, we already in, and we hadn't even introed you. So what I want you to do is introduce yourself. I mean, I've told you when I came in, I'm like, oh, I see you and your technology. Those who can't see it and just listening, my brother has, it's not one of these little names on the bottom of the screen. Like my brother has his name and this amazing QR code, which is like, yes, I feel it, and I'm taking I'm trying to say I'm gonna steal it. Like that's what I was gonna say. I was trying to say, can't say that.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna do it. Like it's so amazing, first of all. And so it's good to see you, man. Good to be here with you. Please introduce yourself. Tell folks what you want to know about you. And I think either we're gonna put this in the middle like it is right now, or we're gonna move it to the front. I don't even know. But all I know is I'm so glad to be in this conversation with you. So welcome.
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate being here. I've told you for a while, I'm available. I love sitting and chopping it up with you and just having conversation. But to give that intro so that we jump into that, my name is Marcus Strother. I'm the president and CEO of Mentor California. We are the affiliate of Mentor, the national partnership out of Boston, Massachusetts. Absolutely love this work. Our role here is to increase the quality and quantity of mentoring across the state of California, so that our young people have at least one caring adult in their life. So we are working really hard to do that. We currently have 285 programs in our mentoring connector that we support, but we are always open to bringing more folks in. We do TA work for underneath OJJDP, which provides professional development to mentoring programs, youth development organizations, school, community, or faith-based orgs, really just trying to dive in and make a difference with mentoring and really getting people to understand that mentoring is a solution strategy for many of things, right? Mental health, uh, academics, healing, really just an opportunity for us to be well, right? Mentoring is an opportunity for us to be well. So it's exciting for us to be able to, support as many programs as possible here in California with amazing partners. Ever Forward being one of those partners, which we love and adore. And before doing this, lastly, spent 22 years in public education as a high school teacher, high school administrator, and district director of youth development. And my favorite part of life is I get to be a husband to a wonderful woman, Christina, and I have the most amazing three young people. I say young people, but our daughter is 22 and our boys are 17. We have twin boys. She is a senior at Arizona State University, graduating this year, and our boys are seniors in high school, graduating this year. So we got a big year ahead of us. We're excited.
That's right. You got a lot of graduations. Sound like
a lot of graduations, but we're gonna do it in a special way. We're gonna take a big family trip. My mom is actually going with us, and my wife's best friend and husband and kids are going. A really good friend of mine is going with us, his wife and kids. And we're gonna take a 8-day cruise. And because not only are kids graduating, my wife turns 50 in July as well. And then our 20th anniversary is next year. So we're just gonna go during her birthday time in July and celebrate, brother. Like for real. Like I'm shutting everything down. I'm not taking anything that may potentially wake me up. I'm gonna be all over Apple's like focus, do not disturb. Like let me click all of those things.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited for you. I'm looking toward next summer as well, as I'm thinking about where that I definitely it's that needs to be on my list to get on a getaway. But we're as we approach this year, as it already has kicked off, and I imagine what you're seeing in schools and with educators, these masks. And I think that part of our work first is you and I to share our masks, and we've already kind of like preloaded where we're at because we're in this work. We're serving young people directly and through their organization institutions. And, and I think that this is the work for us to like be, just to be. And I think it's hard sometimes to make time for us, I think, to just be. And we've had these conversations before. How do we make time for ourselves to do the healing, right? And first, some would that language be scary to them? Like, what am I listening to? Healing what? What's going on here? Like, because if we don't recognize that, to be able to let go of some of the things that are holding us, grabbing us, troubling us, and let some of it go, meaning speak about it with someone who's willing to hear it, who's not there trying to fix it and patch it and be like, oh no, you don't want to feel that. No, just like, thank you. Like, man, thank you. And if I want some advice, I can ask for it, but they're not trying to say, oh, you know how you can fix that? It's like, slow down. This is not the mode I'm in right now. I'm in the mode of discovering what's all going on, so then I can see it out in front of me. But normally I'm talking to myself about it, and I need a sounding board, right? But you need to have somebody who you can trust to do that with, right? And I think that's so important. And so thank you for being willing to share your mask here with us. And folks, you can do your mask online anonymously. And so we invite you to do that at millionmask.org. But Marcus and I are going to share our mask here. And we encourage you to do that. And if you feel like sharing it once you create it anonymously with someone, do that. Invite them to make a mask. So do you have your mask yet? Or we want to make them together?
Let's make them together. Let's do that.
Okay.
Because I don't have my mask yet.
All right. Fantastic. You have a piece of paper?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll do it like that. That's perfect.
I'm pulling it right now. See my little journal. Rises one. You probably remember that, the Obama Foundation.
I didn't get one of those notebooks though. But
no.
Were you at the event in Oakland? You were at the event in Oakland, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I was out in the line passing out mask cards to people. You know what I'm saying?
Of course you were.
Look, if I'm anywhere long enough, somebody's going to hear about a mask. They're going to get a card in their hand. It's almost like sometimes, am I being obnoxious? I'm not aggressive about it, but I am like, hey, can I share this with you? And that's like, I pass it out. I was in that line. I didn't have a ticket. I couldn't get in, but I was in that line. I'm like, hey, take this with you. Take this with you. This is for one of the activities today. I just was like, this is one of the activities today.
There we go. I'm grabbing a pen.
Oh, no worries. It's perfect timing. And so I was like, okay, we're just gonna work the line. We're gonna work the line. I ain't got no ticket. I parked right outside of the Scottish Rite Temple in Oakland. That's where Obama was gonna be speaking. And I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna make the most of this moment because everyone's gotta be in line.
Absolutely.
So you're gonna be in there, I'll be out here, but I'm gonna give you this card. And so I think those are those moments where you're like, who knows how many people have seen it that I don't even know, because it was just me in some way putting that out there for them. So that's good stuff.
Absolutely. And of course, I mean, just that's all you, right? Like handing out masks. But it was like last month or whenever we went to the Oakland game and you just busting out masks, like, here, do this. And I just love it because it's never, right? It's that village concept. Like, all these babies, my babies. So I need you to do a mask. Like, and of course you were standing outside handing that out.
Oh man, it was wild. The Oakland A's game. These kids that were like, we brought these bandanas, and I was like, well, I can't just be giving out the bandanas without they got to put in some work for this, That's
right.
Like, hey, would you do me a favor, fill this card out? It's the one picture, 6 words. And they were like, and they did their best. And one young man was like, he had a hard time. He was like, yeah, I don't know. I said, well, just say, I don't know. Just don't really know what to write. And I think that he was trying to do the right answer. He kept holding the paper, holding the card. And I said, are you all right? You need help? He said, no, I'll figure it out. I said, well, I can help you. I mean, I'm not trying to read your answers, but are you stuck? And because he felt like it was a teacher and a student thing, even though it wasn't, I'm not his teacher, and we're just there enjoying the game. He was in a pattern that I have to get it right. And I said, even if you don't have only one answer, it's fine. He's like, is that? He says 3. I said, yeah, but it's okay. And I think that because our students get into these patterns, they're trying to teachers are coming around to they're checking their tables and they're like, is this the right answer? like whether I'm learning or not is not even the question. It's like, have I learned this well enough? I was like, is this the right answer? Because as long as I get the right answer, you smile, I get the dopamine hit that I did something well, and now we move
Right.
on. But if I'm stuck with the right answer, then I'm always like, how often do I just get to be like, I gave it my best? And there's some gaps in between my best and what the expectation is. So maybe I can, what the gap is, so I can move towards that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was that moment. And I was like, you can just be right there. Just say, oh no, I don't understand this part. And he was almost like resisting like that was okay. I said, don't worry,
Right.
brother, it's anonymous. And that was beautiful too. And one young man who really got it, it was like, oh yeah, I see this in my school all the time. I'm like, there we go. And so those are the pieces that, it's for anyone, everyone to go at the level that they're able to go at. So
Absolutely.
well, we get to make a mask. And so
yeah, let's make
go
these
ahead.
masks.
All right.
No, I'm
Because
saying let's make these masks. I'm following your lead.
We're at the end of the show. We're at the end of the show, and now we're making our masks. We've already had our connect, and now we're like doing the thing. So here we go. All right. So the first step on the left side. Okay. So first, those who are kind of witnessing us make a mask, there are 3 steps. There's the front of the mask and the back of the mask. On the left side, you're just going to draw a mask. First step is to draw a mask. So whatever you draw is going to be perfect. Whatever you think a mask looks like is going to be great.
I'm glad you said that out loud because I am an artist.
Nice.
When it comes to working with young people, I am not an artist when it comes to drawing.
Nice dramatic pause there. I was like, oh, all right, he's about to create a masterpiece.
Not at all.
Right on. Well, say whatever you do is perfect anyway. And I am and no comparison at all. We're just having fun. Did you like to draw growing up? Did you like art class in school?
I wouldn't say that I liked or disliked art class. I think I probably was like every other kid. Like this was a getaway, right? It was a staycation in school. Like I get to go to art class and have fun. It was probably one of the few places that you felt like you had fun. That in show choir. So I love music. I love to sing and play instruments. So that was good for me. So art in that sense, but drawing and painting, I think the thing I drew the best was, remember the old school like S that we used to all draw that had like the 2, like I got that down pretty good, but that was about it.
Is that's like yes, yeah.
Yeah, that old school S. I already know. Any 80s, 90s babies, they know that old school S.
Yeah, I remember 12 lines. 12 lines.
Look at you. You just drew it. Now when we get done with this podcast today with this, you're gonna do it just cause. Let me see if I remember how to do that.
Oh man, it never comes. You're right. And all the little swirl spiral thing with the it looks like it's curved and it's like a wave. Anyway, we're getting excited. So having to get teachers in here, we just start
man, we just start going, like
we
thinking about all the stuff.
So now you have your mask there. That's the left side, folks. So I hope you all tracking us. We were just having fun here. This is part of the conversation, right? Building connection, and wherever it goes, right? There's no formula, but it is a connection. So the mask side, which is the front, are 3 things that you gladly let people see. What are 3 qualities, characteristics, experiences that you just gladly let the world see, and put that on the left side?
Do I draw it in the mask, or do I write it in the mask, or anywhere?
It's your choice. It can be right below it, around it, on it, wherever. It's your creative judgment is perfect. Yeah, the front of those things that we just gladly let people see. They're more just easier things just to either talk about or share. That's the front.
It's crazy how stuck you can get. Because I even think at different times I might have said something like 6 months ago, I might have said something else. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and that's good. That's good. It evolves. It evolves. I mean, I make masks all the time, and so I made hundreds of them. I've been like, for a while, I got into this pattern of just the same three, and then I think at episode 50, the producer who was our guest, he said, "I want to challenge you to do something." I said, "Okay, I'm down." It's like, I want to challenge you to use words you've never used before, and I was like, okay, because he edits, he engineers every episode, so he knows all the words I use, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good challenge. And so now every time I'm like, okay, what are things that are real, but there are words that I have not, like, because I can get into a pattern, right, a habit, So you got the
I
front
got my
there.
3. Yep,
Okay,
I got my front.
so now we move to the back, and the back are things that we normally don't let people see, the things that we don't normally talk about. That is the back of the mask. And so, right, 3 things on the back that you don't normally show or share, that are behind the mask.
Mm. And that one felt so much easier.
Okay. Well, I'm excited. Now, as a guest, you get to decide who goes first. Either you go first, or you want me to go first. Whichever is whatever you choose is totally perfect.
I'll go first. I'll jump out.
Okay. So you'll share the front first, and then I'll share the front of mine, and then you can the back, or if that whatever calls you in the order is great.
Yeah, let's do front, and then
Okay.
I'll share my back. You share your back. You want me to
Great.
show a pic? You want me to just so you
Yeah,
can
that'd be
see?
great. Yeah. Maybe can you just try and cover the back so we don't see it? You just cover your hand over the back part.
So you don't see
Oh
my
no, I'm
hand?
sorry. No, the back of the back mask. So we just have a
Oh,
reveal. You just put
got
your
it.
hand.
There
There
we
you go.
go.
There you go.
There
There
we
you go.
go. All right. All right. Let me do it that way.
Awesome.
It's so weird because I have to. All right, I can get in there a little bit more. Bam. So you
There we
see
go.
there, father, and I have in parentheses figure. I can. And do you want me to elaborate on my 3 words?
You can read them, and then you can like, once you can pull it off, so you
Okay,
can
then I'll
like then
talk through.
talk.
So
Yeah.
father, and then like I said, parentheses, you'll see figure,
Mm,
style, and then love.
yeah.
So father, style, love. So for me, being a father, is one of my, if not my biggest joy in this life. For my 3 biological babies. But you know this because you are one of those people. We have babies everywhere, right? And from them telling you you're like a father to them, or Uncle Marcus, or Big Bro, right? And
Yeah.
so just that role is just, it's incredibly joyful for me. But I will say at times I've found myself in spaces. Let me just share this quickly, that sometimes there are adults that are close to me that could be friends with me that I would love to be able to build with in a friendship. And I get lumped into that big bro category. And we can't build a friendship because they're consistently wanting to call me to learn and, tell me about what they're going through and how can I support them. And I want to
Yeah.
do the same back to them. But I know that's not the role that I play for them in their life,
Yeah.
which it's there. And I recognize that it sometimes bothers me, but I get joy in just being that father figure, um, and of course being a father to my 3. My style, I love to dress and make sure my beard is right, and just what hat can I find, what fedora can I put on today, what is, am I wearing a scully, whatever it may feel like. I love my style, and I love pushing that out to people. And I'm always, I get on Zoom and people are like, you're always like, you have on Mentor California gear, or you got on some different hat or whatever. Like, and it just resonates with who I am. And in my shoes, I was talking with a guy the other day. He was like, "Man, how many pair of shoes you got?" I was like, "Not enough." That's how I feel about it. My wife would probably not say the same thing. And the last thing I know I show very much so is, um, and this is a larger story, but my young people years ago saved my job. Um,
Mm.
they refused to attend class for 2 weeks until they knew I kept my job from a person who was trying to fire me. And a news reporter interviewed one of the young people and said, "Why did you all do this for Mr. Strother? Like, what made you all decide that for 2 weeks you're going to refuse to go to class until he keeps his job?" And he looked at them and said, "We weren't going to let them take away the one person we know loves us." So for
Mm.
me, that third thing that people will always see and feel and hear from me is I lead with love. Love is always at the forefront. I'm gonna hug my babies. I'm gonna sit with them and cry. We're gonna have tough conversations, but it's all gonna be through the lens of love every day. Bell Hooks. Thinking about that,
Yeah.
that beautiful book. And Bell Hooks has tons of different quotes and different essays that you can read on love, but just really like leading from that space at all times.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Mm. Well, I appreciate
Absolutely.
that. All right, here we go. Here's a front. Here we go. Front. We go front. That's the mask. And
Mm,
the words I wrote, the serious, that was second word, dedicated, and busy. And these are not words I usually write, but busy is one that I don't think I've ever written on the front. But I think people who know me, I mean, I think people who know me for sure know, but I think I'm oftentimes being busy. Like, I think you should just be, "How you doing?" "I'm super busy. I've been busy, man. Super busy." I'm like, I think I would use that answer as the like, "What's going on, man? I'm just so busy." Sometimes I gotta find another way of describing this, right? 'Cause I'm always busy. And I think for some of my young people, what I've had to do is tell them, don't overthink my busyness for my availability. Like, because if you're going through something, yeah, when I think one of my young men who I know really well, he's like, "Well, I thought you were busy." I was like, when am I not busy?" Like, and I don't want that the busy to get in the way of that, and it usually doesn't, but sometimes it does. Some young people, like, I said, "Dude, why didn't you let me know you were going through XYZ?" Like, I could tell you weren't responding or whatever, and then they'll be like, "Well, I know you were busy." I'm like, I don't know how to not be busy, because I am usually busy. I mean, I think I'm really intense sometimes. I'm in, like, just so many things trying to get done. But that's one that I think is the first time I've written on the front. But I think
mm,
anyone who does know me, who knows that I'm dedicated to this work, and like but sometimes busy is the me to my peace, right? Because I think busy is how I supposed to be. And when I get into
mm,
that part, that I'm up at 2, 3 in the morning trying to finish up some stuff, like, it it could run into a dangerous zone where I'm staying too busy and not making enough time for rest and rejuvenation and recuperation. So yeah, that's the front of the mask.
mm. Beautiful. I
Yeah,
appreciate
man.
that so much. I appreciate that so much. And it is, I have a fairly new staff member, Ashanti, who is very much resembles what you just talked about in the idea of being busy, and
Yeah.
he and I have really worked, and he's been vocal about this. He's like, I don't know how to do what
Mm.
you're asking me to do. Like, literally, I gave him a week off, and he was like, but for what? And I was like, for you. Like, just take, I mean, like, seriously, like, turn off your email, take time for you. And for me, intentionally, Ashanti, if I don't have to, I don't work on Friday.
Mm.
I don't take meetings, and when I don't work in the sense of like, I'm not going to get on calls. I'm not going to do Zooms. I'm going to be pretty like, if I need space to just focus on what needs to be done, Friday is going to be my day. But if I also need space
Mm.
to focus on me, like, I'm going to try to make Friday be that day. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that, because that busy, it feels like that's what we should be doing at all times and what people want to see from us. And if we're not, we almost like shame ourselves into a really bad place.
I'm that man. I'm that man. Oh, I'm that man for sure. All right, man. Well, thank you. Now
Absolutely.
you want to go to the back? You want to go to the back?
You go to the back. Yep.
Okay. I'll do the back first. Okay. And
Yep.
ironically, the reason I laugh when you said that last word is because that word leads right there. The back.
Wow.
Shame, doubts, and this one's a phrase. What's blocking my writing? It's more of if I put it in one word, it would be like confusion. I'm confused a lot, and concerns, but like this. So I think I've been listening to this podcast about shame. I know Simone is one of the women, and the things that name is David, but they've been talking about this idea of shame. And when I think about growing up, I'm trying to get the words right. I was trying to figure out which one I want to like talk about. Like the role, I always talk about the writing part, so I'm gonna talk about the shame part. I think, growing up, I found, and as I look back, I didn't know it in the moment, but when I look back, I experienced a lot of internalized racism. Like when I say experienced it, I felt it, I demonstrated it. I didn't like seeing myself in the mirror. Like I remember being in middle school, like having these moments where I'm just like, I was super critical of myself. I mean, middle schoolers can be super critical of each other already, but no one could be more critical than I am of myself. So when it happened at school, it was just more of a adding to the list. Yeah. Line up for the stuff I've already said about my own self. And I think it wasn't until later when I learned what that even phrase. At 12, 15, I didn't know what internalized racism meant, but to not like my skin, it was too dark, it was too oily, it was too everything wrong. And I think I was just not happy. And I think that, but there was no one to talk about it with. Who do you tell that to? You don't, right? You just, something's wrong with me, right? And so I've been like, I made a video a year ago about it, and I've been like ashamed to share it. I've been like, I'm not sharing. I made the video because it was real, it was true. And then I'm like, nah, I'm not sharing that. Are you crazy? I'm not sharing that. Are you crazy? And I think this season has been calling me to like, I made this video the other day about hiking, and I'm feeling out of shape, and I was like, and I'm like, what am I running from? I'm hiding from my own self. Like I'm not. And I think that that's one that is like my gut, my soul is telling me. I say that's what I'm calling. So I'm going to share it this week. But I've been like trying to resist it, right? Because talk about some not pretty stuff, and that stuff behind the under the water line. I could just like not share it ever. It's in the phone, and never haven't shared it in a year. It wouldn't get shared if I don't share it. But I think what I'm trying to do in this work is help people realize that you're not alone, and maybe you can't talk about it, but because it's calling to me to talk about it, I'm just going to do the best I can. I'm not doing it. I don't know who I'm doing. I'm doing it for me, to let go of that 12, 13-year-old, 11-year-old who was just super miserable and unhappy.
Wow.
And to get here today to be like, yeah, I love myself, and I still got things I want to improve, and I got things I'm not happy with, and but I still, on a bigger scale, I love myself more than I don't.
Yep.
And I wish it was like I love all of myself. I wish I was there. I'm not there yet, and I don't need to be there right now. But I'm in the journey towards it. So that's the back of my mask.
That's beautiful, brother. That's beautiful, and I appreciate, because I share this all the time. Like 11-year-old me, can show up quick. There's certain things that bring 11-year-old me out, and I'm going to show this. So the back of my mask, you'll see, is not enough. Ooh, let me make sure I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Dad, and then just tired, right? Yeah. And when I say 11-year-old me can show up quickly, my dad can make little Marcus show up quick. Um, the only thing I'll share with my dad, because it's a whole nother conversation, is just our relationship. We are still on the journey of figuring out what our relationship is going to be. Um, and the other side of that is I don't know how much time I have to get that right, and if I ever will, which is scary. But the other one that I'm going to talk more about is to your point of loving yourself. So this idea of not enough. I went to see my wife and I went and seen The Woman King this weekend. Fantastic movie, right? And it literally paralyzed me to my seat. At the end of it, I was bawling and I couldn't get up because of the joy and the pain that I was feeling, right? Of so many different things. But for someone like me, who is a mixed race child, whose mother is white and father is black, there's a character in the movie, his name is Malik. And there's a line in this movie. He's a mixed race child. He is Dahomey while also being white. And there's a line in the movie where he is expressing that his mother is Dahomey from the African village, but his father is white. And the star hero of one of the heroes of the movie, she says to him, "So you're Dahomey, but not. And you're European or white." I can't remember if she says European and white, but not. Right? So it was like, you're us, but not really. And you're them, but not really. And what doesn't get said is at the end of it, that I heard was, so who really are you? Right? If you're not really us and you're not really them, who really are you? And I think there are many of mixed race, probably specifically black and white folks who have felt that. And it doesn't get talked about a lot in the movie, but for me, like, it just punched me in the gut because, just last week I dealt with, white fragility, in its highest form in a meeting where I was supposed to be helping someone. And it was very clear that I was not enough for this person who was white and who made it clear that, yeah, I know you have 25 years of experience in this work and awards and people lift you up for doing good work. Doesn't really matter to me. I'm not listening to you. And it's just like all of the feelings of not enough, right? Like, okay, like I don't, I've never really known how to be, in some folks' eyes, black enough or white enough or mixed enough or an educator at a high level enough or a youth developer at a high level enough or an entrepreneur or someone who deserves a grant enough. Like I can't figure out, you just get to a point where it's like, well, what else can I do? And then there's, why do I worry so much about everybody else and how they feel about me? But it's there. And I acknowledge that I do have, I would say, a need to know that people see me and say, that dude, he's all right. He's doing that work. He's doing his part. Right. Like, and not that I don't get that, but man, for some odd reason, when the times come up that it's on the other side, it just seems to, like a boulder, right? Like the great positive stuff comes to you and it's like a nice little charm you can put in your pocket. But when somebody comes down on you, it's like a boulder that just sits on your shoulder. And it's like, why'd I let that be the thing? Why can't that be the charm that I'm like, all right, yeah, it's there. But I got all this positivity that I'm gonna surround myself in that.
Oh man, that is. Thank you. First of all, thank you. Um, I'm taking it all in, and I appreciate you, and I see you, brother. And I wish society wasn't the case that it felt that it made us feel, and I know it does for men in a big way, and it does it for probably everyone too. But I know for me, speaking from this perspective, that I don't have the right to ask for that. I don't have the right to ask that you hear me, that you see me, I don't have the right to ask. And I sometimes have to I feel like when I shut myself down to ask what I need, I'm harming myself. Like if I need somebody to I just need you to hear what I want to hear what I need to say, or I need you to understand me, or I need you to understand that with the way you're talking to me right now feels like an attack. And I don't need you to do anything about it. I just need you to hear it. But when I do it to myself and I'm like, no, don't say it. Don't say it. And they're not going to be able to handle it. They're not going to be able to respond to it. Like they're not going to be able to accept it. So I began to shut it down for myself. Then I basically bottle up all of that stuff. And I've learned that I can, as I talk to educators about our young people, we can walk around like a landmine, bottling it up, storing it up like a soda that's been shut up. And you know what? Sometimes you just spill a little on and you can wipe it up, a little baby wipe. And sometimes ruins your fit. And now you got to change everything, or you've ruined something else, or whatever the analogy you can use. It's, if we're not careful, we can explode on the wrong people for the wrong stuff. But that's part of the work. And so I appreciate you, man, for that. And I think that is a deep, for me, a wound as well that I'm working on, right? And it's still trying to turn into a scar, right? So that it doesn't get opened up all the time, right? It's like, come on, what's going on here? Like I'm I got grays in my beard. How are you still feeling this stuff from way back then? Well, I wish it was an on and off switch. I tell people, I wish it was an off switch. I choose not to feel this stuff. I would prefer, but for anyone who says, "Oh, just get over it," well, then you don't understand. Because if you only knew that if it was that easy, that would be great, right? And I think what I am learning is what is the new story I'm trying to create through this experience. And so that's the work, and that's the work we get to do for young people. I'll tell you this one quick story. Last week, young men, we have a social emotional leadership academy in the summer. I'm asking them to get me their grades every 2 weeks. A lot of the schools don't have their school systems up, their digital, blah, blah, blah. And I told the young man, I said, well, just go to your teachers and ask them the grades. And he said, well, they showed it to me on the screen, but they can't give me a login. So I said, I said to him, take a picture of the screen. And his reply back in text was, what, you don't believe me? Now, so because I've been doing this a long time, when I'm a new mentor, I'm like, who are you talking to like that? That's what I would have said when I was a new mentor. I'm a little seasoned right now. So when a 13-year-old young man says, what, you don't believe me? It's a deeper question, I think, usually. Because, okay, what? And so I have to, even right now, I'm trying to figure out how to say what I was going to say.
Right.
Because I knew what I wanted to say. My gut says, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? Why are you talking to me like that? But I knew that's not what he needed to hear. He, in his mind, said, because he told me he had all good grades, and I said, take a picture. In his mind, he was like, what? You don't believe I have all good grades? That's how I have to translate. When we're doing text, we have to sometimes read between the lines a little bit. If you're not careful, we can read it, makes it mean something that it doesn't need to mean. But what I had to ask myself is, what does he need to hear from me right now? Of course, why would you say, I don't need to get into the battle of whether I believe you or not. But I knew that he needed to hear that I believed him. And I said, and I replied, and I took me a minute. I said, of course I believe you. I said, but I'm trying to collect data here. And I can't, I want to be able to see a picture of it so that if there's any kind of discrepancy later, that I can say, well, on this date, this is what the grades were. And then in the next 12 minutes, he sent me screenshots of all of the grades, right? But imagine the battle that was about to ensue with this 12-year-old venom, because they're like baby
Right.
cobras. They don't even know they're spitting all this venom out. Now I may have made it mean something that it didn't mean in his response, but if you say what you don't believe me, if I say it to somebody, I'm already there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so anyway, but that's one of those moments where we get a chance to kind of keep checking ourselves, like, okay, what's happening in this moment? What response is needed? And it worked out. I mean, it was like, yeah, there's no win here. I'm not here trying to win.
Right.
I'm trying to support. And so,
Yeah.
man, I want to appreciate you, brother, for all you do, and thank you for being here on in this conversation. I think these opportunities for us to connect feels like I'm thankful. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you, brother. All the time, always, whenever we get together, whether it's even in our text, just checking in. It means the world to me. And I tell people all the time, I can, lift up your voice and your work and what you're doing, you are a beautiful human being. And I want you to know that 100% from me, that you always have someone that you can lean in on, and just, I will shut up for 3 hours and just listen if that's what you need, because I understand, I get it, and we are, we're trying to do our part the best we can before,
right.
One day we can't. So
That's
however I can support you, brother, know that I'm always here.
Thank you, man. Will you let folks know out there how they can get in touch with you, and if their organization, company, or themselves want to become a mentor, like where they start, how do they, what's available out there? Just please let them know how they can follow up with you. And I want to make sure we'll put it in the show notes, but I want to make sure you let folks know.
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way is to just go to our website, mentorcaliforniayouth.org. On our website, you will see our resource page. Go to that page and you can find a mentor. You can become a mentor. And if you're an organization, you could sign up in our mentoring connector to be affiliated with us so that we can provide that support. And what's great about that, Ashanti, that I'll just lean in on is, if you are in our mentoring connector and you need help implementing a program, writing curriculum for a new program, evaluation and assessment, if it's design labs, if it's just hearing and going over some of the stuff that you already have and you just want feedback, we can provide up to 50 hours of support, thanks to OJJDP, at no cost to those programs, right? Okay. So all they have to do is sign up in our mentoring connector, and they can get up to 50 hours of support a year from us at no cost to them, because of OJJDP and a beautiful grant that we have through them in supporting this work. So go to our website, sign up in our mentoring connector, find a mentor or become a mentor. We got 6 million babies in the state of California, so we need a lot of people. Get them on board.
Well, I didn't know that part, and I'm in the connector, so I'm gonna be reaching out to you in the next 12 minutes, and so just kidding. I'll reach out to you this week.
Absolutely.
No.
And once you do that, you can go to the National Mentoring Resource Center, and that is where you fill out the TA support request. Nice. It will be sent to us, and you get that 50 hours. We'll be ready to go.
Oh, man.
Our director of youth development, Nathan Houston, he's absolutely phenomenal. He does an amazing job. So
come on now. Yeah, see, this even more so than us connecting again. That's the nugget. Look, it was, picture Jules being handed to an innocent child, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you don't even know what to do with them. And so I didn't even know that was a resource there. And so thank you. Thank you for telling everyone here. Thank you for telling me. And I appreciate you, man. Folks, absolutely. You have just heard two brothers come together, two men coming together, two educators talking about our masks. You can also do the same at millionmask.org. If you're in the Bay Area, local California, and you want to come to our event 11/11/22, we look forward to seeing you. Stay tuned for that. And I just want to say again to my brother Marcus, thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you real soon, brother.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.
The Taking Off the Mask podcast is produced by Ryan Louie, Graphics are by Kelly Wong, and a special thanks to the team at EverForward, Vanessa Cortez and Choque Allen Alvarez. We'd like to thank everyone who's been a part of the creation of this podcast as we cross the 100th episode milestone and begin the work to the next 100. We hope that everyone who's been a part knows that they're a part of the Taking Off the Mask family. And we look forward to you being a part of it as well. If you like what you heard today, please subscribe, write a 5-star review, and share, as we look forward to continuing to have conversations that matter. Stay tuned for the relaunch of the Million Mask Movement on 11/11/22. That's November 11th of 2022. There's a math problem in there. You can find out more by visiting everforwardclub.org and following us on social media. Take care, and we'll see you soon.